Alright, we're back to play out the end of our second turn as the Soviet offensive continues for Graviteam Tactics' newest DLC under the Cruel Star. If you recall from the first turn that we played as the Soviets, we had these 3 recon battle groups attack the southern objective and they were unsuccessful. The Wehrmacht counterattacked and we were able to hold back the probe, and we launched our own counterattack after that. We located some AT weapons, they were PaK-40s, and we were able to destroy those with our infantry. Hopefully, at the beginning of our next turn, we can reinforce these platoons with a tank platoon that we had in reserve. And with those PaK-40s taken out, we will be able to handle them. For now, we're going to go ahead and see how strong the resistance is in this northern section. I'm hoping there won't be too heavy of a Wehrmacht presence because they were so heavily concentrated in the southern portion that I can't imagine them putting up too stiff of a resistance up north. But that's the thing with Graviteam, you never know. We could just be completely repulsed, but we're at the end of our second turn. I'd like to at least get one of these major objectives. Okay, so looking at our map, if we remember, the objective was in the northernmost square, so it'll be this square that we're focusing on. I want to take it on this turn. Looking at our own squares, you can see that we have the 2 semi-transparent black boxes, which means the Wehrmacht will not be able to take those squares, which is really convenient for us because we can concentrate all of our platoons in this square and launch our attack. I think I'm going to do a full frontal assault. I'm not going to worry too much about doing anything indirect because the Wehrmacht could have troops stationed over in this area, and I don't want to fall into any diversion. So we'll go ahead and look at the actual map itself. And you can see it's just a lot of open field. The Wehrmacht typically have a lot of support weapons. It may be difficult for us, so we're just going to go ahead and launch that full-on attack, and hopefully it works out for us. Alright, our troops are positioned, and as you can see, we have 3 full companies to initiate this attack on the objective point up here. Instead of going full frontal before we do anything else, I'd like to send out some scouting platoons. We did have a couple recon units. I'm going to send some of these recon groups forward just to scout out this position and make sure that as our main force attacks, they will not be flanked. And I'm also going to send a recon unit up here just a bit to see if they can find out the exact position of where the enemy is concentrated. So we'll go ahead and issue these initial orders. And now we can begin. I have all 3 of my companies line and wait hidden. I don't want them to reveal their position. And our scouting platoons are going to go ahead and move out. It'd be really nice if I had some artillery available. I actually forgot to assign artillery to the platoons before this attack began. That's okay. We'll see what we can do. There's green flare, so the enemy's just revealed his position. And I'm guessing the main concentration of their forces will be in this area. Hopefully it's not too thick of a defense, and there are not too many troops down to the south where we can be flanked, but our recon platoons will find that out for us. And it looks like our recon platoon, the forward scouting element, has ran into some of the enemy. Looks like not much more than a squad at first. Now this German platoon looks pretty suppressed. They'll deal with them in short order, and we'll be able to press the probe. So far, not much resistance. And over on our southern flank that's exposed, I do see some support weapons. Doesn't look like too strong of a presence, though. We might be able to take care of them with some of our mortar teams. Let's see. There's a mortar team right here. We'll move them here to a defensive position, and hopefully that will give them a good field of fire to locate those support units and take them out. You can see our 50mm mortars moving up, hopefully to deal with those support units. I think they're out of range of a flanking attack anyway. Won't give us too much problem with enfilade fire, but I'd like to take care of them while we can. And over on the north side, it looks like we have a stubborn MG nest. Though we have numerical superiority, I believe we'll be able to deal with them. So this forward position is secured by our recon units. I'm going to have them hang out in the shrubbery, try not to reveal themselves, and we'll begin the main assault after we deal with those support weapons on the southern flank. I'm going to use this platoon as a diversion, move them forward, keep those MGs occupied, while the commander of the mortar platoon can move into position. We'll move the mortar squads up so they can receive verbal commands from the platoon commander when he issues his firing order. It looks like our commander's in position. He'll relay the order to the artillery, and you can see that bar filling up, so he'll be able to relay those orders. Our mortars will open up once they've established their position. And since we're safe from enfilade fire, I'm going to go ahead and begin our major assault. First, I'm going to send one platoon, or one squad of recon, rather, just to see what they can spot. It looks like the enemy might be concentrated in this position. I see some... Actually, it looks like a heavily fortified defense. However, they seem to be in a gully, and that is going to keep us from being exposed to fire for too long. I'm not sure why the AI did that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, where the enemy seems to be concentrated pretty much exclusively in this little ravine, I'm going to move my companies in a position where they can surround and attack from all sides, so they'll be flanked simultaneously. So we're going to pick a staging area. I'll pick my first platoon. We'll move them here. Our second platoon. We'll move here to do the forward attack. And our third platoon will swing on around in this area. I don't believe there's any troops there. For now, I'll move them here and take this recon squad and see if they do come across anything, because I don't want to expose anybody to fire. We actually are receiving some enfilade fire from those MGs. It's such a long range, though, I don't think there's going to be too much of a consequence. There's some mortars, however, that are reaching the troops. We're just going to push them up into position and allow this mortar squad up here, mortar platoon up here, to take care of the remnants of this support squad. Okay, so our recon platoon is moved all the way up to this position, and there are no Wehrmacht troops that they can find, So it will be safe to move a company in this position so we can attack from all three directions on that heavily fortified village. Looks like the Wehrmacht is moving some troops up to probe. Our recon unit should take care of them. Looks like they've taken use of some trenches themselves. Let's go check and see how our second mortar platoon is doing, if they're in position. Now our main force is moving forward. We have one more mortar platoon that we have available, and I think what I'm going to do is have them do a pre-bombardment of the entrenched area, and then within 1 minute of them beginning that bombardment, I'm going to move all three companies at the same time to attack that position, and hopefully we'll be able to envelop them. Okay, we have our three companies moving into position. Again, the enemy is stationed in this area, in this gully, so we won't be exposed in the open field. We're going to try to completely surround them. We're going to use that last untapped mortar platoon. They'll begin a bombardment, and then once these troops are pinned from the artillery bombardment, our three companies will commence their assault. We'll get it rolling. Okay, so our troops are in position. We can begin our assault. This is our first company in the attack, the second and the third, and hopefully we'll be able to envelop them and completely surround them. Our mortar squad, or our mortar platoon was placed right here, but where they are in this gully, they don't have visual contact, so they can't begin any kind of bombardment, excuse me. But we're going to have to go it alone. I think we may have enough companies to take the position. It's going to be a heck of a fight, but we have to commit to it. Make sure these troops are not concealed. They can fire at will. We'll tell them to attack this position. Tell our second company the same. And our third company coming up from that top flank. So our attack begins. And hopefully these troops won't be exposed to fire until they're up close. The trade-off being where the Wehrmacht is in this ravine, we cannot provide artillery support because we cannot get a visual on the position, but they won't be firing on us with their machine guns from 1,000 meters out, so we'll just have to see how this attack unfolds. Going over that first company now, our second, and swinging around for the third. Where are they? Right here. Encountering some light fire now. Here's our second company, our first company. So far, no contact where the Wehrmacht is hidden down in this village. It's just a huge, awesome display, panorama style, of these three companies. Almost a battalion that will be attacking. And it looks like our left flank is going to initiate contact first. There's a light fire coming from the positions. You can see it right here, that machine gun position. Oh, Brutal. That's a long distance for those machine guns to open up, but they can still hit their targets. This is going to be a tough fight. Red flare signifying contact with the enemy. And over here on our right flank, it's looking pretty clear so far. It's that left flank, the 3rd Company, that's running into problems. This is a battalion-wide attack. Those machine guns are just brutal. We have allowed the units to use smoke, though, so if they employ all those smoke rounds, it should give them some cover during the assault. And unfortunately, the wind is not working in our favor. It's blowing back into our troops, so any kind of smoke they're employing is not going parallel to the troops they're attacking. So it's going to provide minimal cover. They're going to have to deal with it. Looks like this guy might be lucky. He might be just enough low to not get hit. Looks like the MGs are firing just above him. Yeah, it's clipping that brush right above him. I think he's just low enough to avoid direct fire. It's our right flank advancing. And now they're approaching the outskirts of the village. They're going to be completely exposed once they crest this breast. There's a small ravine right here that they may be able to find some cover. Looks like this commander got injured. I see him moving. He's still alive. He may be able to recover from it. Fire is really intensifying now. Here's our left flank. I'm going to try to have them take position right here in these trenches to give them some relief. Hopefully they can help to pin down while the right side of our attack commences with their assault. I'm going to tell all these units to take cover here. They have houses and brush. They'll be in close contact with the enemy here in the trenches, and hopefully they can keep these guys occupied while we swing around on this right flank. I'm also going to place some of these forward squads in this ravine right here, this trench. If I can place some of these forward squads in this trench, they'll also be able to provide some suppression fire while these squads on the right swing around. Thankfully, there's enough shrubbery laced throughout this position that our own troops have some cover as well, and as they advance on these first forward trenches, I have them continue to take cover in them, and we'll leapfrog. And as you can see, these squads have taken position in the trenches. They're in a pretty nice spot. The rest of these squads on the left are going to take position in these shrubs. And the main push is going to come from this right flank. Here's that trench where we have a pretty fortified position. It'll provide our base for leapfrogging during the attack. Fighting's getting pretty intense right now as our troops move forward. We're going to see a lot of grenades, probably. Possibly some hand-to-hand. It doesn't look like the Germans want to give up this position. We'll move these squads forward, place them in these trenches. These squads take position here. I really want to get these squads right here in these trenches. And you can only imagine how this would feel. Stuck here in the cold, in the winter, in this valley entrenched, just waiting for the enemy to envelop you. It's like he might have spotted somebody advancing, he threw a grenade. Now our squad's reaching that trench. It'll give them direct firing position to hit this target right here, which looks to be where the base of the resistance still is. Hopefully this guy can make it. I keep hearing that MG. I don't know if it's a 34 or a 42, and I can't locate it. Let's see if I can spot it. That was that initial MG that was firing on our left flank as they advanced. Looks like it was taken out. I'm going to stop pushing for now and fight fire with fire, trench to trench. And it looks like we have some squads that have hung back. We'll be able to send them up in advance while we have a base of fire from the trenches we've already occupied. Have them take defense in these trenches, and then we'll leapfrog up. And looking over here, we see on our left flank just a bunch of squads from that 3rd company. Didn't even advance, which is great. We can bring them in as fresh reserves. We'll have them attack these positions. I'm actually going to have them assault. I want to keep them in a dense, single line. I'll allow them to use smoke if they have any left, and I want them to move fast. I really want to press this advance while they're being held down by our troops that have already occupied these trenches. Trying to stay low right now. Boy, I tell you, it's hard to even spot where the enemy is when you get down in these trenches. Looks like they're receiving some enfilade fire. I don't know if they're going to be able to deal with it. These 3 guys, man, they are just stuck. Could you imagine being right here? You have no way of knowing what you're facing, knowing that you have to fight your way out or you'll end up dead. And again, that's that feeling that Graviteam provides that really no other game can. Four of our units advancing. And let's see how our attacking platoons are doing up here, coming in with that 2nd wave. I really think this will be the push that'll drive the Wehrmacht out of their hole. So right now, an overview, you see we've taken almost all of the position. There's a few holdouts. I'm going to have all these troops here just maintain their positions, hold it, trench to trench fighting. We'll have this fresh platoon move on down and finish the assault. I'm going to hotkey this group, make sure they're not remaining hidden, that's why they're crawling. Fire at will on. And again, I'll just tell them to assault these positions. That's why it's nice sometimes to have some units in reserve. I actually didn't intend to do that. I wanted that entire company to attack. I don't know why these units held back. It really could have been that machine gun nest up there that had them exposed across that pretty much 1,000 meters where that MG had a clear shot. They may have decided not to go on with the attack, but in any case, it is nice sometimes to have those reserves because all these troops are pretty much exhausted, and then we have fresh platoons moving in to finish it off. And we didn't even have to do it. It looks like the Germans went ahead and retreated. Let's take a look at some of the after-combat statistics. So we had a initial force ratio of 305 to 225, which is exactly what we needed. Anytime you attack, it's really, really critical that you have a higher force value than the enemy because you are going to lose more troops attacking than defending 90% of the time. Looks like we had 467 troops, so they're 203. Outnumbered them nearly 2 to 1. We had 148 casualties to their 145. I'll take that. It gives us the objective that we needed, and we evenly matched the Wehrmacht in casualties. As always, thanks for watching, and if you're interested in the content, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as a subscriber.